Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a very exciting one for me because we are going to be reading my most anticipated release of the year, and that is Children of Anguish and Anarchy. This is the third book in the, I've heard it called the Children of Orisha, but now on the back of this book it says Legacy of Orisha series, so I don't know which one we're going with. But this came out at the end of June. And I have not gotten to reading it because I've been finishing up my War and Peace reading vlog, which will be up before this. So if you haven't seen that, once you're done with this video, you should go watch that one because that one took me forever. But in my excitement to read this, I am gonna hold myself off a little bit longer because I want to reread the other two before I get around to reading this one. So if you don't know, the series is Children of Blood and Bone, Children of Virtue and Vengeance, and then Children of Anguish and Anarchy is the one that just came out. One thing that I think is very interesting that not a lot of fantasy series do is these books have been getting progressively shorter and shorter. Like, that's the first one. This is the last one. I feel like usually it's flipped, where the first one's kind of short and then they progressively get longer and longer. So that is very interesting to me that this last one seems to be the shortest. But maybe it's just thinner pages? I don't know. I guess let me see how many pages it is without spoiling it for myself. 352. This one is 400 almost. And this one, 525. So yeah, they are getting quite a bit shorter, which is very interesting. But if you don't know, as an introduction to the series, Children of Blood and Bone is set in a fictional African country. It doesn't really specify more than that, called Orisha. I believe that's the name of the country. And basically what it is they used to have magic. The king came in and took magic away, and now some of our characters get the opportunity to try and bring magic back. And obviously adventures and chaos ensue from there. You're following several characters, and I am going to forget all of their names. You have Zaylee, who is your main character. She is one of the people who used to have magic. Her mom had magic when she was a kid, and then it got taken away. And then you also follow some of our other main characters. I guess I don't know how much I can really say without spoiling. I feel like I can say who the main characters are. You're also following, wow, it's been a minute since I read this. What are the other names? Amari is the princess. Inan is her brother, the prince. And then Zaylee's brother is something. What is her brother's name? Zane, that's his name. I think that's how you say it. But yeah, I'm gonna try and keep this spoiler free, so I don't want to say more than that. I really loved these books. I read them a while ago. So the first book I read almost a year ago now on our way back from our road trip craziness last year. And we actually started listening. I listened to about the first half of it on audiobook, which the audiobooks are really good. I felt like I couldn't get into it. I'm starting to learn that I'm just not the biggest fan of YA audiobooks. I don't always love, not that I didn't love the voice actor, but I feel like I just can't get into them like I can in the physical books. So I just don't know if I can really do YA, specifically YA fantasy audiobooks. I will say the audiobook is super helpful for getting the pronunciations down. There was a lot of words that I don't know if I'd necessarily be able to get the pronunciation right off the bat, especially when it comes to things like names. So if you feel like you really want to be able to pronounce stuff correctly, the audiobook is really good. So again, I read that one about a year ago. Not too long after that, I picked up Children of Virtue and Vengeance, and I've now been waiting almost a year to read the last one. Both of these books left off on quite the cliffhangers, especially this one, so I've been waiting a very long time. But I do want to reread these two books first because I just want to make sure I'm fully immersed in the world and back into understanding everything that's going on. It has been a while since I read them, so I want to make sure that I'm fully caught up before I jump into the third one so that I'm giving it its best bet for me to understand it and remember the context of everything and who everyone is. So I will be starting with this one, but before we dive into the reading part, I just want to show this book. I got the Barnes & Noble exclusive one that you get when you pre-order it. So I think the covers are super cool. the other thing that's funny to me is that they've been getting progressively more and more realistic. But it's like still a drawing. It's just a very realistic drawing now. But that's the front. It's got these beautiful painted edges with like leaves. And then inside they've got these maps, which are really cool. And then it's got this like sword thing. The whole book is yellow. And then the other thing that I thought was really cool that I've never seen before, but with the painted edges, let's see if I can find a good page. You can see it like comes and makes a border around the pages. I've never seen that. Maybe that's a thing that lots of people do, but that's the first time I've ever seen it. So I'm super excited, if you can't tell, to get into these books. I just finished reading War and Peace, so I am dying for something a little more interesting and action-packed. So I'm going to start with Children of Blood and Bone. I will try to give you my spoiler-free thoughts, tell you as much as I can, keeping this spoiler-free. If you have not read this series, please go read it. I love it so much. And let's dive into it. That's not really focusing well, but really quick update. I have about 150 pages left. It's going good. Don't have much to say, but it's going good so far. I'll update you when I'm done. Alright, quick update for you. I finished book 1 of Children of Blood and Bone. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it was just as good rereading it, which I always get a little nervous rereading books because that light is going crazy, but I always get a little nervous rereading books because I'm like, what if it's not as good as the first time I read it, since I already know what happens? But I quite enjoyed it. There were several things that I did not catch the first time around that I was like, oh, that's interesting, now knowing where that ends up. I also totally did not catch, at the end of the book there's a part where she actually says the title of the next book. Did not catch that because the next book wasn't on my radar the first time I read it. So the nice thing about this being a reread is I can go straight into the next 2 books and not have to worry about cliffhangers, because she really likes to end her books off where it's like, oh, wow, everything changed. But then she doesn't tell you what happened because that's the next book. So I will also say a lot of stuff happens in the first book. Stuff kept happening and I was like, okay, I remember this scene, but like what's left for book 2? Because most of the stuff that I remembered just happened. So I'm on to book 2 now. I'm remembering what is happening. This book is a lot shorter. I'm already about halfway through it, so I will probably wait and update you when I'm done and we can finally move on to book 3, which is the main key part of this video. I finished book 2. I'm flying through these. Wow, this book is as good as I remember it being. And it ends on just as terrible of a cliffhanger as I remember it being. So I am going to start the next book immediately because I can. But thoughts. She does a very good job of writing characters that you just cannot decide if you can like them or not. If you like morally gray characters, if you like not knowing who to trust, these books are great for you. I still don't know. I have my suspicions on where the next book is going, but I'm not positive on it. I also, again, something I didn't notice last time, but I did catch the name of the next book is in this one. So I think that's fun how she does that. She's like referencing what the next one is. Is there anything else I can say about this book that's not spoilers? There's quite the love triangle thing showing up that I'm not sure how we're going to resolve that. I'm also not entirely sure who all's alive at this point. Some stuff has gone down. Book 1 is a lot more about our whole little quest. Book 2 is more of a war book where things are happening, it dissolves into full-out war. So I'm not sure what book 3 is going to be, but I'm very excited to read it. Also, one thing that I noticed, and if you know in the book, Zaylee, the main character, her hair gets curlier and curlier, and if you look at the covers, her hair gets curlier and curlier on the covers too. So I thought that was a fun thing. I really like the cover designs on these. I think they are very well done. So I don't know, I struggle a little bit with Zaylee, the main character. She's very stubborn, but a lot of them are, and again, it's one of those things where no one's in the right, no one's in the wrong. Everybody's just in this like weird gray area. Everyone's trying their best. We'll have to read book 3 to see who ends up being on the right side of things, how stuff ends. I just don't quite know how we wrap up some of these character storylines. Some of them have some major things that I just don't know if we can get past. I don't know if they can have a redemption arc, but I also don't know if she can really like get rid of them. So we'll see. I'm very excited for book 3 and I'm going to start it right now. Alright guys, update on this book. I am currently, let's see, at part 4, page 249. So I'm making really good progress. I was very tempted to stay up late and read this last night, but I got to where it was starting a new part and I was like, you know what, it's like 10:30, I should just go to bed. Plus I have a call today for a job interview, so I didn't want to stay up so late that I had no energy, but we're gonna try and finish it this morning. I've got like an hour and a half until that call, so we'll see if I can bust it out. But I thought I'd give you a few thoughts before I fully finish it and we wrap up this video. This book kind of starts a whole new plot almost. It takes you in a whole new direction. There's tons of new characters, tons of new lore, new magic. It's like a whole new thing, which is crazy to me considering this is the final book of the trilogy. It's also the shortest book of the trilogy, which is just baffling my mind. I do not understand how we're gonna wrap everything up. Like with it being so short, I thought we were just gonna like start wrapping things up, see how we finally tie all these loose ends, but then we like have just created a whole new plot with tons of new problems that they need to solve. So I'm very intrigued to see what's gonna happen with this. We're nowhere close to feeling like we're at the end, and I've got in the ballpark of 100 pages left. I'm not gonna look at the end page because I'm really stressed about spoiling it for myself, and I've left checked several times, so I feel like I'm pushing my luck on that one, but I don't understand how it ends up. The whole love triangle thing's been weird. The other person that I thought she might end up with just like hasn't even been in this book. Like, where are they? I have no idea. We don't know what happened to them. The only time they've been mentioned is her being like, huh, I wonder what happened to that guy. So we'll see if he shows back up. There's just not a lot going on that I feel like is working us towards a good ending. I'm just kind of like, is this really the last book? Or is she just lying to us? So I don't know. It might be a whirlwind to get to the end to try and wrap everything up that she's got going on. I've got a lot of questions. There's a lot of things that she needs to figure out. So hopefully we get a good ending and it's not just like a really open-ended book, because I really don't like those. I like things to be tied up by the end. So I'm getting a little nervous, but I'm gonna keep pushing. We'll see what happens. And I think that's all of my thoughts for right now. We've got a lot of point of views going on, which is interesting. And surprisingly, a lot of point of views that aren't Zaylee. So that's been interesting. Yeah, I think that's about it. So I'm gonna read this book and I will update you when I'm done, and we'll wrap up this video with final thoughts on the series overall. I finished. So you know, in the last clip when I was saying I just feel like there's so much we still need to wrap up. I don't know how in the number of pages I have left she's going to finish this. She didn't either. I just, like, what was that ending? I have so many thoughts. I'm gonna try and make them concise. This is one of those books where I finished it and I immediately went and Googled to see what everybody else thought, because I just can't wrap my mind around it. First of all, there is one major character that I think I mentioned in the last clip, I can't remember, that just never shows up. You know how I was like, oh, this dude just like disappeared. I wonder when he's gonna come back in. He doesn't, ever. Like, he's just gone. And based off of what I read online, a lot of other people are really mad about that too, because he's a really fun character. And they just, gone. No, nothing else, they just disappear. Which is so frustrating. Second thing, this whole book just takes a whole different spin. There's all these new characters and there just is not enough time for you to fully get to know them. I'm still so confused about the main villain character in this book. I don't feel like we really got an explanation of what he was trying to do, how she stopped it. There's a lot of things happening with her magic changing, and we just never really get a clear picture. I feel like the other two books up to this point, like, we really understand that magic system. There's been a lot of work put into it, and then everything just changes. And it just is not enough time to understand all of that and grasp it well in this short of a book. Like, she almost started a whole nother series, basically, and I feel like I need another book or two to get me to understand exactly what went down in this book. They're fighting this whole war, they're doing this whole thing, they win the war, which I guess maybe is a spoiler, but like, you kind of know what's gonna happen, right? And then it just ends. Like, basically, the second the battle is over, the book's just done. I got to the epilogue and I was like, oh, okay, cool. We need a bit of an epilogue, like maybe a fast forward a little bit. No, the epilogue is literally 2 pages. You find out one character managed to not die, and then that's it. I'm just like, what? Hold on. Maybe this is just me, but I feel like if you're gonna put me through 3 books of stress, 3 books of the characters just having nothing go right, I need to see the ending where things actually work out and it was worth it. Like, I just don't feel like, I feel a little bit like it's lazy writing to just be like, we're not gonna show how this all works out. There are some major things that happen at the end of this book that we just don't even get to explore because it just ends. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Certain characters die, we never get to see the results of that. Certain people come together, never get to see how that turns out. We have no idea, honestly, who, half the characters are even alive. We have no idea if their country's gonna make it through this. It just ends at the end of the big battle, and that's it. So, yeah. I am getting really frustrated. I feel like there's been a lot of series that I've read lately where the first books really hook me in, and then it just doesn't end well. The authors just can't seem to figure out how to tie things up. Like, I get if you're intentionally leaving an open ending, that's one thing, but I feel like you've got to give me something, and this just doesn't give you anything. You have no idea what's going on. I think this is probably sitting at like a 3.5 for me, maybe. It's not a bad book. I read it really fast, like less than 24 hours. It really had me hooked. It's super fast paced, but because of that, it becomes a little confusing and things just aren't fleshed out. So not bad. Would I still recommend the series? Probably. It just feels so disconnected. I don't feel like it hooked into the storylines. It totally did another thing. I don't feel satisfied with the character arcs. And yeah. So, big letdown. This kind of hurts. I was really looking forward to this book. The other two were so good, and I just don't feel like this gave me what I needed. So if any of you have good recommendations of series that actually stay strong all the way through, please let me know. Because I feel like I need a little something more from the world of series. And maybe I just need to quit reading series, because I feel like, I don't know, it's just frustrating. So if you have any good recommendations for me, please let me know. But with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that your experiences with your most anticipated books are more fulfilling. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.